Kill Haniyeh, kill Hamas, kill all chances for peace. Operation Elimination. The operation was carried out in the most publicly dangerous manner. The assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the head of the political bureau of the Palestinian organization Hamas, has the potential to turn everything in the Middle East upside down, particularly the prospects for negotiations between Israel on one side and Palestine and the Gaza Strip on the other. Essentially, the perpetrators have set the clock back to the fall of 2023, when the latest active wave of the Arab-Israeli conflict began. Although Israeli intelligence agencies have not claimed responsibility for the missile strike that killed Haniyeh, it is highly likely that the operation was carried out by the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, and Mossad. Their thought process remains unclear, as only in the absence of common sense could anyone fail to grasp that such a bold action would derail the process of stabilizing the conflict. This stabilization is now likely to be delayed for many years, if not forever, though in reality, it never truly ceased, merely quieting down from time to time. Israel's refusal to claim responsibility is not unusual. The country's intelligence agencies frequently do not admit responsibility for individual acts of terror against persons deemed dangerous, especially when these acts occur in other countries. Only if such actions were to take place on the territory of Gaza or Palestine might the situation differ. In those instances, the IDF and Mossad typically do the opposite, immediately making official statements about their involvement because they consider these territories part of Israel. However, the elimination of enemies of the people on foreign soil is a common practice for Israeli intelligence, though it is often kept under wraps to avoid international scandals. Not all in the past. It's essential not to confuse such missions with operations like Entebbe, conducted on Ugandan soil with high professionalism and heroism. In that case, IDF special forces were rescuing hostages, civilians, while Ugandan dictator Idi Amin openly sided with the terrorists. On the other hand, during Operation Wrath of God, several people were killed as vengeance for Munich 1972, some of whom had no connection to the PLO or were merely mistaken for the intended targets. Even those who were in the wrong place at the wrong time, or whose guilt was not adequately proven, were eliminated. Our modern age, one of progress and technology, has introduced new methods for Israeli intelligence in conducting individual acts of terror. Now they are carried out using high-tech means in ways that pose public danger. For example, during the 2004 assassination of Sheikh Yassin near a mosque in Palestine, several worshippers with no connection to him were also killed. This time, only Ismail Haniyeh and his bodyguard perished. Considering that Haniyeh's assassination occurred immediately after his return from the inauguration ceremony of Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, to the Palestinian leadership's residence in Tehran, questions naturally arise. It is evident that the timing and location were not coincidental. While one might explain it with pragmatic reasoning that Tehran is closer to Israel than Doha, this version doesn't hold up, especially since the IDF managed to outsmart both Iran's air defense and intelligence. Of course, Iran's intelligence services are not the best in the world, but conducting an operation not in Tehran, but in Qatar, where building skyscrapers with oil and gas money is the main skill, would not have been much harder for the Israelis. The potential consequences would have been less severe. Moreover, there is a U.S. airbase in Qatar. Indirect threat. Even though Israel's methods of waging war against the Palestinians have long irritated the Americans, they remain eternal allies. It is clear that Israel wanted to send a message to Iran's new president, warning him of what might await him if he continues to criticize Zionists and their allies, even if only rhetorically, and to remind him of the fates of Raisi and Soleimani. It is also important to note that Pezeshkian was regarded as almost a liberal in the West and Israel. However, they were gravely mistaken about his stance on Israel. As a result, Pezeshkian's figure, due to these unfulfilled expectations, provokes obvious irritation in Israel. But the likely outcome will be the opposite. Masoud Pezeshkian might abandon all his idealistic geopolitical ideas and begin pursuing a conservative policy similar to that of his predecessor, Ebrahim Raisi. In any case, Iran and Israel are now closer than ever to an all-out war. If they had a common border, the war would have already occurred. But since they do not, Iran will act through the Palestinians, whether Sunnis from Hamas or Shiites from Hezbollah. The breakdown of peace negotiations can now be confirmed, and the US seems to be turning a blind eye to this, no longer wanting to be any kind of intermediary. It is also worth noting that the new leadership of Hamas may include individuals who make Haniyeh seem like an angel in comparison. An aside effect: the US has long been planning to relocate its airbase from Qatar back to a more loyal and now calmer Saudi Arabia. After the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, this move will likely happen, and quickly. Not only because the inevitable escalation of the Palestinian conflict, now involving Iran, will certainly affect Qatar, but also because Qatar is home to Hamas's headquarters and main source of funding. It's no secret that without Qatari money, Hamas would have long ago disintegrated into separate groups and become militarily ineffective. Naturally, another serious instability hotspot will emerge in the Persian Gulf region.